I don't know what I'm saying. But what I've been thinking about is how this decade would be different from the one before. And that wonderful achievement, really, of for the males of respecting something in feminine consciousness, which we were never very terrific at. And then the terrific energy of the women in the last decade was marvelous. But somehow that has to merge. You know what we're talking about. It has to merge with something now and start to move upward. So, many times in the 60s, I always, when I thought of male consciousness, would think of negative male types like McNamara, Johnson, Nixon, one after the other. Well, anyway, Rumi is very interesting in this respect. Rumi often talks of the conflict between the negative and the positive male consciousness. And here's one of his little poems I was just fiddling with. This is Rumi the Persian, and he says, when a Sufi is working on himself, whether he's a man or a woman, when a woman is working on her consciousness to transform it so it goes up like this, or when a man is working on his consciousness, he's called a worker. So one of these poems begins, a worker was going down the street, and someone gave him a good hard blow from behind. And he swung around to return it. And the person said, before you hit me, I have a question for you. Now, this blow that I gave you, we both heard it. Was this sound caused by your hand or by your neck or by my hand? So academics ask these kind of questions constantly. And so he says, the pain that I'm feeling does not give me leave for speculation. And he says, are these things okay to worry about if you're feeling no pain? What is so insane is the idea of being pain used in a positive way. So beautiful.
Since I've just spent $450 for a new tooth, I feel it only fitting that I have a poem to my dentist. Called Dentist. Sitting at the dentist, head back in the chair, metal plate placed in your mouth, too big for your mouth, reaching its steel throat back down along your roof, pushing your mouth into your tongue. 6 minutes, the dentist says. You've got to clamp down on this and hold it in your mouth for 6 full minutes. This is the wax cast your mouth makes for your new tooth. Breathing deeply as you learned in yoga. You are fine for perhaps 30 seconds until the gag reflex attacks. They are choking you, your dentist and your yoga teacher have conspired to put you into this room, this empty closet, just because you are old and can no longer keep your teeth in your mouth. They have locked you here and placed this monster mouth inside your mouth to mock you and choke you to music. Your daughter, grown and married now, with worries of her own, sits agonizing outside the door. Would it be murder to tell them no more heroic measures, pull out the tube, let the fluids slide down between her fleshy mouth and cold, hard metal mouth? You hear the sound of your own voice, grown old with longing, like those old women in the nursing home next to Nancy's apartment, calling out in the middle of the night for Mama.
Sudden changes.
Sudden changes.
I have a poem about sudden changes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a poem about sudden changes. This little poem called The Man. A man comes in the door who makes your skin shiver. He says, I want the television. You say, have it. He says, I want the dog. The dog, you say, is more difficult. You wrestle. He is a snake. He is fast. He is all over you. His nails rip your back. Darling, you say. He tears the stocking from his head and is the girl of your dreams.
Violence on television. It is best to turn on the set only after all the stations have gone off the air and just watch the snowfall. This is the other life you have been promising yourself. Somewhere back in the woods, 10 miles from the nearest town, and that just a wide place in the road, with a tavern and a gas station. When you drive home after midnight, the roads are treacherous. And your wife is home alone, worried, looking out at the snowfall. This snow has been falling steadily for days, so steadily the snow plows can't keep up. So you drive slow, peering down the road, and there, did you see it? Just at the edge of your headlight beam, something, an large animal or a man crossed the road. Stop. There he is among the birches, a tall man wearing a white suit. No, it isn't a man. Whatever it is, it motions to you, an almost human gesture, then retreats farther into the woods. He stops and motions again. The snow is piling up all around the car. Are you coming?
It has a reference to the boy who is blind in the poem, rubbing his eyes to see the spark of color underneath the eyes. And people who, well, I often do this when I'm alone to sort of have this provocation of color. And people who are blind can also have the color sensation underneath the eyelids. So it's called Blinded by an Explosion, Jeff. For days he wanders in his family's house, his head sheltered by a red football helmet, slamming against walls, wanting to see stars. And the white sink is the last thing to melt away before the weeks of imagined hospital white, his face straining toward gauzy bandages and the buzz of machines he mistakes for the sound of light. At night, in bed, he gouges his eye sockets, the wild welcome of color, gypsy, violet, and green. He pretends his eyes are sleeping, are dead, not sleeping, and the shooting stars form portraits of his face. And he rocks, bent like a chair, a Stevie Wonder rhythm, his arms fisted in his stomach, in motion, comfort, rage. He refuses the touch of braille, the connection's weak, the fingers dumb, the synapse far too slow. And the reconciliation is slow, the patterning of his world in velvet and burns. He feels the sun on his skin, dim warmth, a soft cord, and the thin light recedes and comes high tide again. He ties his shoelaces, he brushes his teeth, he reads and dreams on, and all the walls call out to him. Like radar, he echoes back and he keeps himself away.
I found a poem of Rolf Jacobsen's. There's a wonderful Norwegian poet, about 60 years old, and he's coming to this country for the first time in April this year. And here's a little poem translated from the Norwegian. May Moon. The May moon goes around like an inspector in a white jacket. The visitors will soon be here. Is everything in its place? This tapestry must be brushed, green rugs everywhere, and candles on the tables. A little music, half muffled, one thrush, a little lark, that's better. And violins, bring up some more small rivers.
Jim Moore. Standing on the bridge at 7 a.m. Everybody's going to work. Well, not me. I'm not going to work.
I have a two-line poem. If a log rings in the fire, don't answer it.
Actually, I just changed this poem. I'm going to move the second line up. My name is Louis Jenkins. This poem is called Dream of Wealth. The stars are neither large nor very distant. They are made of delicate glass, imported from Sweden and sold at a huge profit.
So they did this night and day for, I think, 4 days and saved Bolinas Lagoon. Then they began raking up the oil and washing birds. They washed, I think, 980 seabirds in mineral oil. Each bird took them 3 to 4 hours to wash. And during this time, Standard Oil finally came and offered them 75 cents an hour, I think. And the kid said to Standard Oil, "You like your money so well, you keep your money." Oh, you like it so much. So a couple of weeks later, I was walking on the shore and I saw a seal that had been killed by kerosene derivatives and oil derivatives which get in the liver, and nothing can be done for them. I had a piece of paper with me and I wrote down this little poem. Walking north toward the point, I come on a dead seal. From a few feet away, he looks like a bound log. He's lying on his back, dead only a few hours. I stand and look at him. There's a quiver in the dead flesh. My God, he's still alive. And a shock goes through me as if a wall in my room had fallen away. He's lying on his back, the small head back, the whiskers sometimes rise and fall. He's dying. This is the oil. Here on its back is the oil that heats our houses so efficiently. Wind blows fine sand back toward the ocean. The flipper near me lies folded over the stomach, looking like an unfinished arm, lightly glazed with sand at the edges. And the other flipper lies half underneath. The seal's skin looks like an old overcoat, scratched here and there by sharp mussel shells, maybe. So I reach out and touch him. Suddenly he rears up, turns over, gives 3 cries, "Arr! Arr! Arr!" like the cries from Christmas stories, and he lunges toward me. I'm terrified and leap back, although I know there can be no teeth in that jaw. He starts flopping toward the sea, but he falls over on his face. He does not want to go back to the sea. He looks up at the sky, and he looks like an old lady who has lost her hair. He puts his chin back down in the sand, rearranges his flippers, and waits for me to go. I go. So the next day, I come back to say goodbye. He's dead now. But he's not. He's a quarter-mile farther up the shore. Today he's thinner, squatting on his stomach with the head out. The ribs show more. Each vertebrae in the back underneath the coat is visible, shiny. He breathes in and out. A wave comes in, touches his nose. He turns and looks at me. The eyes are slanted. The back of his head looks like a boy's leather jacket. He's taking a long time to die. The whiskers white as porcupine quills, the forehead slopes. Goodbye, brother. Die in the sound of waves. Forgive us if we have killed you. Long live your race, your inner tube race, so uncomfortable on land, so comfortable in the water. Be comfortable in death then, when the sand will be out of your nostrils and you can swim in long loops through the pure death, ducking under as assassinations break above you. You don't want to be touched by me. I climb the cliff and go home the other way.